Hello everyone, Marcel here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about loneliness, how it relates to people in general, some of my experiences with it, and if it has anything to do with MGTOW. Also, special thanks to Ken Abel for recommending this topic. So first off, I don't want to get too deep into the science behind feeling lonely, chemical imbalances and all that. There's plenty of information out there already on it, and I want this to be more real talk, in the sense of how it feels from the individual's perspective. To start, I'd like to establish that there are different kinds of loneliness. The most obvious being a surface level loneliness from just having a blue day or missing your family or friends. Most of us bounce back relatively quickly from this as soon as whatever is causing it is alleviated. Then you have the perpetual loneliness that develops gradually over time from either a feeling of unfulfillment, continuous lack of success with social interactions, or even different forms of mental or romantic abuse. I will get to my own personal experience with that here in a minute. Finally, you have the gut-wrenching my world is over loneliness that comes from having lost someone very important to you or getting hurt by them. These can all come in varying degrees, and I'm sure there are other examples out there. Furthermore, loneliness is distinct from depression, though the two can coincide. They are similar in regards that you can have loneliness even independently of its root cause. That is specifically what happened to me in my younger years. I was about as blue pill beta male as they can come. I was a fixer, I was always trying to help people, and I had a taste for bad girls. Put all that together and I had about as much hope as a bullseye-shaped magnet in a steel dart game. I had a fair number of girlfriends, and some of the relationships even lasted years. But one thing they all had in common is they continuously shit-tested me, put me through constant mental games, gaslighted me, left me in a constant state of wanting. You ever hear them say, always leave him wanting more? Then finally was cheated on or lied to for all my trouble. Now I wasn't perfect, but I was never responsible for more than 10% of what I had to put up with. Having those experiences gradually started to leave me with an emptiness. Somewhere in between the wanting more or the confusion of all of it started to make me feel as if I were alone, even in the middle of a relationship. And that brings light to the question, was I even in one? Is what I was experiencing actually any form of a wholesome relationship in the first place? It's like I was sitting at a banquet and the food was turning to ash in my mouth. I could go through all the motions, do everything correctly, and I still wasn't getting anything out of it to sustain me. Even the best of girlfriends that I had would add just enough toxicity, play just enough games, that I would still be slowly poisoned. I was on the verge of becoming a shell of a man, allowing the insults, that pain, that feeling of loneliness at all times to define who I was. And that is when it happened. That is when I made a realization that the very thing they were doing to me in breaking me down, in wearing me out, was exactly what was causing me to be so lonely, to crave them so hard in the first place. You see, if a man is confident, if he appreciates and loves himself, then most of these methods that women or people use to manipulate us that are based upon the fear of being alone don't work. Destruction of our confidence and manipulation of our emotions have to go hand in hand. That is why masculinity and strength, the very things that define us, are so shamed in society nowadays. When I redirected my energy and my goals from being what other people or women wanted me to be, and focused on self-improvement, empowerment, and confidence, that hollow void that had left me longing was filled by the man that I wanted to become. And I realized it was that I was missing the entire time, which is the very thing that they had taken from me. Now, the fact that I wanted to improve myself and define what it is to be me is entirely positive, though to understand it, it asks one more layer of reflection. Was I doing it inevitably to make myself better, to get in another relationship and be more successful in that regards? Or had I done it to ultimately free myself of the concept that I have to be with someone? That's extremely important, because if a person improves themselves under the impression that doing so will meet an ends, and that ends does not come, It could potentially devalue their motivation to continue improving, or even encourage them to stop the improvement the moment the end goal was achieved, and that strength or drive might be the only thing that the woman was attracted to. It does no good to jump from one mental loop right into another. I had to accept that for me, in order to become the man that I wanted to become, I might actually die alone. That there is a possibility that no one is ever going to love me. I had to reevaluate what I wanted the purpose of my life to be, and that is not a decision that everyone is going to be willing to make. Now, as for how this all relates to MGTOW, whether or not you see it as a movement or a lifestyle choice or an ideology, fundamentally, it is being who you want to be. Achieving the goals that you set for yourself and not allowing others to manipulate you and hijack those goals. Nowhere in that is there an expectation of loneliness. MGTOW are not TFLs. I see the loneliness that comes after the red pill rage as a residual side effect of societal programming. It's something that should not be there, but is because of how we were trained. The point of all this is get what you want from life. And if that happens to be a relationship, be sure that you do it right. Don't ever compromise or let it define you. The moment you allow it to dictate who you are, you will never truly be free. After all, any woman who genuinely loves you should be willing to accept you for who you are and not change you. I hope that this video was interesting, and if you have any thoughts, experiences of your own, please share them below. And if you want to hear more, like and subscribe.